What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for March 14th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Happy Pi Day for all of you who celebrate. It is Tuesday. That means it's time for a little positivity and motivation. Today, our quote is check yourself before you wreck yourself. First heard by the great Ice Cube. And I think with the way things have been going on this week and things I'm noticing, this is the perfect quote for this week, especially with the Darius Slay situation. Once it was announced that the Eagles gave him permission to seek a trade, I saw all kinds of hate and negativity on Twitter. Good, get rid of him. Good, get rid of him. He doesn't want to be here anyway. Get him out of here. Clear the space. And then I heard it on the opposite end too, like, oh no, Howie, you're an idiot. Blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, neither one of them said anything. And they finally came out, and Darius Slay said, look, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay here, but it is a business, and they're working through it. And all of a sudden now, I'm not hearing anything from the haters or pro or anti-Slay, pro or anti-Howie. So everybody just needs to relax. I see this all the time where people are so quick to react and then don't want to deal with the consequences, and then they double down and just keep going with it. Just take a deep breath, and as Ice Cube said, check yourself before you wreck yourself, and you'll be just fine. I mean, another example I heard this morning, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, is a guy is suing Buffalo Wild Wings because they call their boneless wings, and he was like, no, they're chicken nuggets. Like, at the end of the day, who the fuck cares? Like, again, this guy should have checked himself before he wrecked himself. And the sad part is there are probably millions of people out there that are like, yeah, Buffalo Wild Wings. So it just, I think we can all learn a lot from this, and just check yourself before you wreck yourself. It's Tuesday, so make sure you do that. All right, let's start with today's Philly Sports Women's History Month Spotlight. Today we're going to look at Andrea Kremer. She is a multi-Emmy winning sports journalist from Philadelphia. She currently calls Thursday Night Football on Amazon with Hannah Storm. If you ever watched it on Amazon Prime, they have a couple different feeds you can do. Her and Hannah doing a phenomenal job. I actually listened to them one time. They're just as good as, and probably better than what Herb Street and Al Michaels were. But she's covered 25 Super Bowls, the NBA Finals, Major League Baseball playoffs, Stanley Cup Finals, the NCAA Tournament, the Olympics, PGA Golf. She went to Friends Select and then went to the University of Pennsylvania. From there, she started working at NFL Films. She did some work with the WIP Eagles pregame show back in the I guess it would have been the mid-'80s, late '80s, which those teams were, the mid-'80s teams were terrible, so God bless her. But she also got her start in journalism at the Mainline Chronicle out of Ardmore. She was ESPN's first female correspondent, which is, I think, pretty cool. And she also won the Pete Rozelle Radio and Television Award, which is presented annually by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So shout out to you, Andrea Kremer, Philly's own, and just for being a trailblazer in the industry and doing so much to give motivation and just be a role model for girls and women alike who want to pursue a career in journalism. And like I said, I think her and Hannah Storm's feed was much better than Herb Street and Al Michaels. So today we spotlight you, Andrea Kremer. All right, so talked a little bit about the Darius Slay hate and how people need to check themselves before they wreck themselves. Yesterday was the opening of the legal tampering period, which I don't know why they call it tampering. The NFL doesn't want you to be shady and tamper, but yet this is what they call it. But the big news was Travis Kelce is coming back, or not Travis, Jason Kelce is coming back for at least one more season. He's not retiring. Really, that's the only big news that I've heard from anybody coming back that is a free agent for the Eagles or that they've even looked at signing. But again, they were very quiet to start off last year as well. I think they signed Reddick very early, and then it was a cooling off period. But Hargrove is going to the Niners. TJ Edwards is going to the Bears. We didn't expect either one of them to be back. Thank you for all you guys did last year. Andre Dillard is moving on to the Titans. Again, everybody will say that's a wasted pick. However, I mean, look at who he had to supplant. It's Mailata and Lane Johnson. So neither one of those two are going anywhere. So it just wasn't necessarily a wasted pick, but I mean, they couldn't afford to pay him what he was going to get. I know they had looked to try to trade him a few times. Marcus Epps is going to the Raiders. So hopefully we'll see some more movement and see what the Eagles actually have planned for this year. It's still, I think everything is going to be predicated on whatever the deal they give to Jalen Hurts. And it's almost like a game of chicken. None of these owners want to give that first big contract and make that first move. So I'm anxious to see how this plays out. It should be an interesting and fun week anyway. The other big news from the Phillies is their scoreboard. I'm seeing so many people pump up this scoreboard, and it's freaking huge. Like, it's definitely I'm excited to go to a couple Phillies games this year and actually see it. But if you can, there's a YouTube video of a guy driving by. I saw it on Twitter, and you can see it from 95, clear as day. Like, it's pretty legit. So go check that out. But today we're going to go back to 1981. It is March Madness after all, and with no Phillies teams, let's take a stroll down memory lane, shall we? But on this day, March 14th, 1981, St. Joe's beat the number one team in the country and number one seed DePaul 49-48 in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Freshman John Smith hit a layup with 2 seconds left to seal it for the Hawks, who had beaten Creighton in the first round. So the Hawks then will go on to beat Boston College before losing to the Indiana Hoosiers, who would be the national champion that year in the Elite Eight. So for those wondering, because I was curious, so I did the research on this. St. Joe's, 4 times they've been into the Elite Eight. One time they did make it to the Final Four, and that was in 1961. But back to that tournament, and especially in the second round, number 2 that year was Oregon State. They lost in the second round, and the defending champion Louisville Cardinals also lost in the second round. So it was just a crazy tournament, which is why March Madness is so fun. It's extremely disappointed there's no local Philly teams to get behind, and like I said, I can't pull myself to get behind Penn State. I don't know, maybe I'll root for Houston or Memphis since they're in Temple's conference. But that's the other big news of the day too. Before we leave, Aaron McKie stepped down as coach of the Owls. They're opening up a national search. He's going to serve as a special advisor to the athletic director. Not sure if this is something the university kind of pushed him toward, whether it's something that he realized. I know he had some issues with some of the players regarding NIL deals and things like that. So I don't know. He's more of an old school guy, so I could see him, and this is me purely speculating. I don't have any inside information, but I could see him just getting fed up with the whole situation, being like, screw it, I'm done. But he's still going to be, he always will be a Temple Owl, but he's only 50 years old, so he's got plenty of time. He should have plenty of money, so go enjoy it. But thank you, Aaron, for all you've done. All right, so on this day, St. Joe's beat number 1 DePaul in the second round of the NCAA tournament. We're continued to monitor the free agent tracker for the Eagles. Pretty quiet on the Sixers and Flyers front today. Go check out that Philly scoreboard. Big win for the United States in the World Baseball Classic last night. Shout out to Andrea Kremer for just being a trailblazer in the sports journalism field. And remember, go have yourselves a Tuesday and check yourself before you wreck yourself.